this is the Provoked Prawn, and I'm here to show off something that nearly went under the radar for me, and this is Lian Li's Infinity Fans, but with reverse blades. So reversed airflow, giving you options for seeing those beautiful infinity mirrors in your case, and not the ugly backs. Now I'm actually tricking you here because there are two versions of the fans here, the standard Infinity Fans and the reverse fans. So you see if you put them side by side, it's actually quite difficult to tell the difference. They're very, very similar in their design, with only some very slight differences in the specs that I'll leave in the description. But the idea here is that you can mount the reverse blade fans in your case in a position where you'd normally set intake fans. So for example, here in the bottom of the Air Mini, so that you can still see the infinity mirror in the middle, and obviously the blades and the nice areas of RGB and aesthetics, but still maintain the logical airflow of having cold air blowing onto your graphics card. So the idea here is essentially if you get enough of them in your setup, which really is going to be 3 or 6 probably, depending on how many case fans you have, you can then make your case look a hell of a lot better. I'm using them here in the Air Mini, and later I'm going to be doing it in the Dynamic Evo 2 in case you're interested. Now the Infinity reverse blade fans are available to purchase in single packs, so you can only buy them individually, and I want to talk a little bit about that and the complexities that that could lead to and the things to be aware of. But as I've said already, they're mostly the same, so they have the same logic, and as I've shown, they look pretty similar. The difference, obviously, is the design of the blades, basically the angle at which those blades sit. But when you get them out of the box, they look very similar. They have exactly the same logic. They've got the infinity mirror in the middle, the nice sort of mirrored RGB areas on the sides, and then obviously the interlocking design to click together with the other infinity fans that you're going to be using. So the same sort of logic. Now I've done a full detailed wiring guide on the standard Infinity Fans that I'll link to in the description if you've not seen it already and you don't know how to use these. But essentially they just click together and then wire up with a single cable and connect really easily to your controller. Now the cable that you get with the single pack of the reverse fans is this one, which on one end has the connector to the fan, and then on the other end has an RGB 5-volt control cable and the power cable. This would connect up to your motherboard. So you can connect up the fan like this, and then the cable is connected directly to your motherboard and allows you to do that, basically set the fans to your motherboard if you want to. You also have options to buy other accessory cables that can convert that 5-volt header into a sync cable that would work with a standard Infinity controller. But generally, if you just bought the single packs, that's what you'd end up with. Not necessarily ideal, but more on the wiring in a second. Now you can see the reverse blade fans have a slightly different design at the rear. You can see the cables, and you'll see what I mean in a second, but essentially the rear is not as pretty as with the standard fans, which is fine because you're not going to see the rear. The focus here is on seeing the front, and this is probably what we wanted from the beginning, because when I first did the Infinity Fans I loved them, but it was a real shame let down to see that back plate in your case. So now you no longer have to do that because you've got this glorious design that allows you to have intake fans without seeing the back, which is obviously what you want. So I want to show you some more side-by-side shots so you can see the differences between them and get a look at them. So the reverse blades on top and the standard Infinity Fans on the bottom. You will notice obviously the difference in the fan blades, but otherwise they're very similar. Now it could be easy to mix these up if you've got a lot of the fans, so a quick tip is to look at the rear and you'll see the difference there is that the standard, the original fans have a cover over where the cable goes, whereas the cables are actually visible on the reverse blade fans, so you can see them sticking out from the back. So one small tip, if you're having trouble deciphering between them, that's the easiest way to do it. But what you will note is that they also will interlock. The originals and the reverse fans will interlock. So you can actually theoretically do this, although whether you would, you probably wouldn't, but you could maybe experiment with it. Might be an interesting experiment to have intake and exhaust in the same setup. Obviously, the best thing to do is to get yourself a triple pack. So if you buy a triple pack of the standard Infinity Fans, because once again, you can only get these in single packs with the reverse fans, then you get the controller. Now you can buy an accessories box separately. So Lian Li sent over this accessories kit and cables. So this is the standard controller that you'd get if you bought a triple pack of the standard Infinity Fans. This controller controls up to 16 fans if you don't know already, plus it has 2 sync ports on it for other things. like Galahad coolers, for example, that you've seen featured in this video, and I've done a video on separately. And it allows you to do other things. So you have cables in there included that allows you to connect to the motherboard for syncing the fan speed and RGB, and to control it with Lian Li's L-Connect software, and to do other things too. So you've got a lot of different cables there. A triple pack is pretty much essential for the Infinity fan wiring, and the same for the reverse fans really in reality. So this is the cable that you get with that. Again, same sort of logic as with the single fan. It basically clicks onto the end in that Unifan design. And one of the nice highlights of this is that wire is also reversible. I showed this in the wiring guide, but you can basically set the wire in a different direction. So you can set it to face towards the rear of the case, depending on how you're mounting the fans. And then you connect the fan up like this. Now, this controller can support up to 16 fans, 4 per group, and 4 ports on the controller. So you have loads of options. Even if you've got a massive case, you probably will be fine. Again, once it's plugged in and wired, you can see the fans set up here with the RGB lighting on and spinning. You'll see very little difference in them. There are some minor differences in the airflow specs though. So although they're both 0 RPM, they are capable of going 0 RPM and all the way up to 2100 RPM. There are some slight differences in the airflow capabilities, so it's worth checking it out in terms of the CFM, but it's minor differences really. They're both quiet and yet capable fans delivering excellent performance, but the benefit here is you get that improved aesthetics. So here you can see the mounting process for the fans, the reverse blade fans in the Air Mini. Now, I've got the Galahad Trinity cooler set up there, which is the new SL Infinity cooler, and I've done a video separately on that if you're curious, but while doing that, I wanted to install the standard fans on the front, top and rear, and then the bottom ones with the reverse blades. The end result here is that apart from the front fans, where I want the mirror on the outside, you have all of the Infinity mirrors on display there, and then you get the glory of that controllable RGB lighting throughout, without having to look at the back of any of the fans. Now, obviously, you've got a larger case. As I said, I'm going to do it in the Dynamic Evo. I've got 6 fans in there instead of 3, because what I'm going to do is the side-mounted radiator, set that to intake, and you could have the same sort of logic. So you probably won't need many of these, and you'll only be buying them in singles, so that's fine. But the end result is pretty fantastic, and I'm really pleased to see Lian Li's come out with this. Hopefully you are too. Let me know in the comments what you think. And also check out the description for links to other videos you might find interesting. Check out that Galahad cooler, for example. Looks pretty awesome. Thanks for watching.
You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos. You might well find them interesting or useful. And most importantly, have a great life.